Hello, so today in this module you will be proving triangles congruent using the side, 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 angle, and angle, side postulates. And you'll also use congruent triangles to then prove their corresponding parts congruent. So this is an actual proof. I'm going to show you two different kinds of proofs. One is what we call a two-column proof, and another is what we call a paragraph proof. So this example here illustrates what we call a two-column proof. There is on one side statements and reasons. So one column is the statements, another column is the reasons. So for these first couple problems, we are proving the triangle's congruent. So what you have to do is you have to go by what is given first. By what is given, given means what is marked. So you'll notice that AB has these two tick marks and GF has those two tick marks. So I can say AB is congruent to FG because it's given. It's already in the picture. I then can say BC and GH are congruent because they also have that one tick mark. In angle ABC, this arc, and FGH, this arc, that angle, those angles are congruent because that is given. So you always start off with the givens. Those are the first things you then can say. In this case, based on that, we have enough to say that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle FGH by side, angle, side. Because we have a side, an angle, and a side in each triangle that are congruent in that order. For example 2, we have the same thing. Now, let's look. Okay, we have a tick mark here that matches up with MK here. So if I am doing a two-column proof, I am going to say that BC, this segment right here, is congruent to KM because it's given. Now, the reason why I have that order, B is in the corner with the angle, C, and then C doesn't have the angle. So I started with K, which is at the angle, and I go up to M. Now, I can also say that this side BA is congruent to KL because that is also given, because it is already marked. The only thing that I need now is the angle, which is given here. Now you can say it with 3 letters or with 2. I'm going to get in the habit of saying it with 3 letters. So angle ABC is congruent to LKM because it is given. Now I have a side, an angle, and a side, so I can say triangle ABC is congruent to triangle LKM by side, angle, side. So it's taking the visuals and actually writing down your reasoning. The second type of proof that we can do is what we call a paragraph proof. A paragraph proof uses sentences. So we would start off in number 3 saying RQ, or segment RQ, is congruent to DE because it is given. Writing out the sentence. RP is congruent to DC because it is given, and angle PRQ is congruent to angle CDE because it is given. Therefore, triangle PRQ is congruent to triangle CDE by side angle side. Some people like to write out the sentences. Some people like the 2-column. It does not matter. The 2-column is very formatted, where you have to have certain things in certain orders. The paragraph proof is more of like a flow of thought, where you look at a picture and you say, oh, this side is equal to this side, and this side is equal to this side, because it's all given to me. For number 4, you can choose any way you want, but please try to complete that problem. The next step in this is actually not just taking the triangles and making them congruent, but also their corresponding parts. Okay? So what that means is I find that the triangles are congruent based on limited information, the information I know, and then because the 2 triangles are congruent, I can say that other angles or other sides are congruent that aren't marked anymore. So, for example, 5 here, I need to prove AC is congruent to DF. Every time you see the word prove that this is congruent to another thing, that means that it is the last statement I make. That is what I need to know. So you need to tell me how you got there. You cannot assume that they are equal based on the picture. You need to go by what is written. So the proof starts out roughly the same as before. So I would say AB is congruent to DE because it is given. BC is congruent to EF because it is given. Angle ABC is congruent to angle DEF because it is given. Those are all marked. That's from the previous questions. Therefore, the triangles ABC is congruent to GEF by side angle side. Now, at this point, these 2 triangles are congruent. So once the triangles are congruent, I know all parts are congruent. So I can take just 3 pieces of information to prove the triangle is congruent. Now I can say that AC is congruent to DF, which I did not know before. Now I can mark it because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. If you remember corresponding parts, the things when I lay the triangles on top of each other, those are the things that line up. So corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. All those other sides and angles that I didn't know before, now I know that they're equal. Let's do example 6. So I'm proving AC is congruent to KH. So it's the same process that I'm going to do for example 5 here. This is going to be my last statement. So now I start off with what is given. Well, I'm given that AB is congruent to KG because it's given. I know that BC is congruent to GH because it is given. And I know angle ABC is congruent to angle KGH because it is given. So now I know I have a side, an angle, and a side in both triangles. So triangle ABC is congruent to angle KGH by side, angle, side. Now the triangles are congruent, which means I know that AC is congruent to KH because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Now, how would that look in a paragraph proof? Now let's prove angle FDE is congruent to angle SRQ. So we start off with what is given. So in this case, I know, you can always start off with I know, okay, based on the drawing, okay, DE is congruent to RQ, comma, EF is congruent to QS, and angle DEF is congruent to RQS because it is given. So I just made 3 statements in one. Just looking at the picture, I know those sides are equal and that angle is equal. DE. Therefore, triangle DEF is congruent to triangle RQS by side, angle, side. So now I have proven the triangle's congruent using 2 sentences. Now I can say once those triangles are congruent, so angle FDE is congruent to angle SRQ because they are corresponding parts. And I can make those statements and then I am done. That is how you prove triangles are congruent. So if you could try in the same process to prove, for example 8, what would that proof look like? Are you going to do a 2-column or are you going to do a paragraph? It does not matter how you do it, it's the same information, just written a couple different ways. After you've done that, there are some more practice problems not using side, angle, side. They're Some use side, side, side. Some use angle, angle, side. Some use angle, side, angle. But these are the next couple problems that you can work on, and come in next class with any questions. Thank you.